Feeling a bit lost in the vast world of Manor Lords? Don't worry, you're not alone. While the game crafted by solo developer Slavic Magic is indeed something special, diving in can sometimes feel like navigating a labyrinth. But fear not. If you're eager to establish your own thriving township but unsure where to begin, or if you're on the right track, you've come to the right place. Join me in this beginner's guide as we embark your initial year in Manor Lords. From laying the foundation with your initial buildings and family allocations to tackling major endeavors like food production, constructing your first church and manor, and braving the harsh winter ahead. I will be your guide every step of the way. And fear not, for as we wrap up, I'll equip you with initial objectives to prepare for the winter in year 2. Ready to kickstart your journey to success in Manor Lords? Let's dive in and pave the path to prosperity together. When you first load into the world, immediately pause the game and take a look around your region of the map. You should see a few key resources. Berries and wild animals will be the most important as they are your early game food sources. There may also be stone, iron and clay, which you don't have to worry about for a while, but it's good to note their whereabouts ahead of time. With the game still paused, open up the build menu and construct the following buildings with your starting supplies. Logging camp, storehouse, granary, well, marketplace and optional a woodcutter's lodge. It's important to build a logging camp first, to get some early timber production going as soon as possible. All of the buildings, except the logging camp and woodcutter's lodge, should be near the center of where you'd like your village to be. The logging camp should be placed near a forest, but make sure it isn't too close to any wild animals. I personally like to place down a woodcutter's lodge early on as well, so it's ready when needed, but it's not necessary. With the game still paused, start hashing out a basic road network. Roads in Manor Lords are completely free and instantly built, so it's always a good idea to build them at the start of the game while it's still paused. The general idea with these starting roads is to connect all your starting buildings to each other, while having largish gaps for Burgage Plots and the other buildings later on. It's particularly important to make sure our population and oxen have road access from the logging camp to the rest of your village, because the logging camp is where you store all the timber you need for constructing these new buildings. I also recommend placing down some longer roads from the center of your village toward the nearest berry and wild animals. It's time to unpause the game and let your villagers build those starting buildings you place down. Feel free to speed up the game or slow it down with the buttons in the bottom right. Once your logging camp is built, click on it and assign 2 families to it immediately. They will start chopping wood for more timber, and meanwhile your other 3 families will continue building. Once your storehouse and granary are built, assign 1 family each of them, to start storing resources so they don't get ruined when it starts to rain. Your 1 remaining family can deal with the rest of the building for now, but if needed you can take 1 of the extra family off the logging camp to help out. The extra benefit of assigning families to work in the storehouse and granary is that you quickly get food and firewood stalls set up in your marketplace. Now it's time to set up food production. At the moment, your families are living off the supplies of bread they brought with them, but that will run out soon. The type of food production you will set up first really depends on which food source is closer to your village, the berries or the wild animals. In my playthrough the berries were nearby, so I set up a voyager's hut in the wood right next to the berry bushes. But if wild animals are in a better spot for you, then I'd recommend building a hunting camp near them instead. You don't need both food sources immediately, so just pick whichever is more convenient. Once your chosen building is built, set a family working there, but make sure you still have 1 family free for building. To recap, your families should now have the following work: 1 family for the logging camp, 1 for the storehouse, 1 family for the granary, 1 for food building and 1 family unassigned and free for building jobs. All this time your families have been living in their starting tents, and you may now have noticed your approval rating starting to decline next to the thumbs up arrow at the top of your screen. The solution is to start Burgage Plots, which are where your families live in Manor Lords. I'd highly recommend you build your first 3 Burgage Plots in a way that they have an extra living space extension available. Living space extensions allow you to expand your population more easily with less overall cost to your Burgage Plots. So plop down 3 Burgage Plots for now and let your builders work on them for a while. One thing that really slows down a lot of new players in the early game is that they rely heavily on their one starting ox to transfer all that timber around. But you can easily double that work rate by ordering another ox. To do this, just click on your hitching post and click on the Order Another Ox button. It will cost you 20 regional wealth out of your total 50, but it's a worthwhile investment. However, you need to build another hitching post, because each hitching post can only handle one ox. It's a good idea to build multiple hitching posts anyway, so that your oxes are spread around your settlement and can do the transport jobs more easily and quickly. I placed mine pretty much in the center of my town, and I suggest you do something similar. You should have now 3 Burgage Plots set up, but it still means that 2 out of your 5 families are stuck in your starting tents. You can build more Burgage Plots, but it's even quicker to make use of those living space extensions you build in your first plots. To do so, click on a couple of your Burgage Plots and select the Expand Living Space button. Each expansion costs 2 timber, but it's a quicker job and allows you to place 2 families in a single plot, which is useful later on because you only have to upgrade 1 plot instead of 2 in order to make both families happy. Once those extensions are built, you should see your starting tents disappear as no one is living in them anymore. So, no more homelessness. Your overall goal is to expand your town and take over the map, but your smaller goals should be really dictated by your settlement levels. Hover over your settlement name at the top of the screen and you'll see the requirements needed to upgrade to the next settlement level. In my case, we need 5 Burgage Plots, so let's build the other 2 now. Remember to keep your Burgage Plots fairly close to your well and marketplace, as they're important for your approval rating. And it's also a good idea to keep them close-ish to the storehouse, granary and logging camp. The moment your 5th Burgage Plot is built, you'll enter a new settlement level, the small village. And you'll get a shiny new development point to pop up wherever you like in the development upgrades tech tree. Open up the tech tree by clicking on the settlement name at the top of the screen. I'd recommend you put your first development point into trade logistics. It's a fantastic early game tech which makes setting up trade routes much less expensive. We'll be starting up our trade network very soon, so it's a good time to get trade logistics. Now that you've eliminated homelessness, your approval rating should start creeping up above 50%. As long as it is above 50% and you will have empty Burgage Plots, you will periodically get new families joining your village. Which is great, because at the moment we're basically using all our families already. Whenever your next few families arrive, you should assign them to build your second food production building for whichever food source you haven't already got. That will be berries or wild animals, and in my case, wild animals. And start a family working there at the moment it's built. Your next family to arrive at the settlement should go towards building a saw pit near your logging camp and working there to make planks. And your next family after that can working in the woodcutter's lodge for firewood production. If you need more Burgage Plots before these families arrive, then go ahead and build them. It's time to build your first trading post. Traders come from the edge of the map. There are little icons off of the map edge that tell you where they spawn. Try to build your trading post fairly close to the edge of the map, connected to the main road. Trade is very important in Manor Lords. It's the easiest and earliest way to get lots of regional wealth, which you'll need for expanding and upgrading your town. Once it's built, have a look at your resources in the Trade tab to see if you have any large supplies of resources. In my case, I had a awful lot of berries, enough to feed my village for some months, which is rather more than I need. If you find this video useful so far, please hit the like button and let me know in the comments what you like about this video. It would help a lot. And if you want to see more of this in the future, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks. Now that our first winter is here, it's time to start thinking about clothing in preparation for the next winter. I recommend taking this time to start producing leather, so that when the second winter arrives, you will be able to start making shoes. You will have started getting a few hides from your hunting lodge, but it's good to get more and closer to home. Take a couple of Burgage Plots with backyard extension slots and build some goat sheds there. These will provide a steady supply of hides for your village. Meanwhile, construct a tannery nearby the city center of town and assign a family there once it's built, so you can start converting these hides into leather. Always keep an eye on your firewood reserves, especially during the winter, because at this time firewood is consumed twice as fast in winter, so you need a good amount. It's time to build even more Burgage Plots. You need at least 10 Burgage Plots in total to reach the next settlement level, so I'd recommend building the remaining ones now. Living space extensions are always welcome as usual, but even more important at this point is to have some backyard extension slots ready for when you need to start creating weapons, ale and other more exciting resources. Once again, keep your Burgage Plots fairly tight to the center of your village, where your well and marketplace stalls are reside. It's time to look around your village for some space to build some key buildings. Those buildings are the church for religion and the tavern for a different kind of religion. The church, for example, is quite large, and it has to be fairly close to your Burgage Plots, so try to find a good spot for it. It's also a good idea to look for Burgage Plots that have a backyard extension slot, preferably as nearby as possible where your tavern will go, so this Burgage Plot can become your brewery later on. I like to give the people a diversity type of food. So to that end, I've got a couple of spare Burgage Plot backyard extensions at hand. I'd recommend building a couple of Chicken Coops for 25 regional wealth each. These Chicken Coops provide a slow but endless passive supply of eggs, which will increase the total food offerings available to your population. Not only does this increase their happiness, but the varied diet also makes your villagers less vulnerable to illness. And remember, if you need more regional wealth, go to your trading post and sell off any big supplies of major resources. With all the work that your saw pit has been doing, you should now have at least 20 planks, and probably a lot more to be honest, so now it's a good time to build your first church. The church is a hefty building, costing those 20 planks I mentioned, plus 5 times timber and 10 times stone. You won't have stone production set up yet, but you should have enough stone in your starting supplies to get the church built. Try to place your church fairly central. Citizens won't actually walk there, but it has to be nearby for those effects to be felt. Once it's built, you can set a family working inside if you like, but it's not a requirement. It'll just give you an extra approval boost rating. My next recommendation for the build will be expanding your storage. This will help avoid the annoying generic storage full prompt from the game. A large storehouse will hold 2500 items instead of the regular storehouse's 250. And it doesn't cost much at all. Just to be sure to build it while it isn't raining, because the moment you begin the upgrade, your entire content of the storehouse will be dumped on the ground. We're getting close towards the end of another major objective, reaching the medium village milestone. You should already have at least 10 Burgage Plots in your settlement, so all that remains is to hit the settlement goal level is to upgrade at least 2 more Burgage Plots to level 2. Upgrading only costs 4 timber. You can only do it once all of the approval requirements in that Burgage Plots are satisfied, but that shouldn't be an issue if you have been following along with this walkthrough. So get those upgrades done and I'll see you in the medium village era. Congratulations, you're now the proud owner of one medium village. Your reward? A new development point. And I know just where it should go. So open up the development tech tree again by clicking on the village name at the top and this time select Better Deals, which is the development upgrade just from the trade logistic tech you unlocked the last time. Better Deals is probably the single most powerful development upgrade in Manor Lords right now. It removes the 10 times regional wealth tariff on all your imports at the trading post, which is in simple terms means everything can be bought for 10 times regional wealth cheaper. That's a huge deal when you are looking for more expensive items like pole arms and other weapons that you will need for raising your army later on. There's just a couple of more jobs that I'd recommend you squeeze into this build before the second winter. The first one is to construct your manor, which is in some ways the most important building in your whole settlement. Once you construct your manor, you will be able to start taxing your population for treasury and influence. You can also start hiring retinue to help you in battle. The only issue is that your manor requires stone to build, and you probably won't have enough. You could always purchase the stone at the trading post, but there's no reason why you can't start collecting stone for yourself. Find the nearest stone patch, build a road out to it, and then construct a stonecutter's camp there. Then set one of your families working in the stonecutter camp, and they'll periodically ferry the stone back to your base. Soon you'll have more than enough to build your first manor. When the time comes to actually place down your manor, you'll enter the castle planning screen where you can expand walls, towers and outposts and even more. But all of that stuff is very costly in materials and time consuming to build, so I recommend just building the basic manor for now. And once it's built, you can re-enter the castle planning screen at any time to add more walls and gubbins. Remember all that leather that you have been making? Well, your level 1 citizens may have been happy draping leather over themselves, but level 2 citizens want actual clothes. There are 3 types of clothing items for Manor Lords: clothes, cloaks and shoes. Clothes and cloaks require linen and yarn, neither of which you have yet, so that leaves shoes, which you thankfully can make out of leather. To start building shoes, all you need to do is select one of your level 2 Burgage Plots with a backyard extension slot and create a cobbler's workshop. The workshops cost 5 regional wealth and 5 planks to make, which shouldn't be exactly break the bank. The downside is that you're effectively locking that family away from any other jobs throughout the village, but that's okay, you can always get more families. Once the cobbler workshop is done, you should begin to see leather being slowly turned into shoes and stored in your large storehouse, or sold at a clothing stall. That's one of the major hurdles for upgrading to level 3 Burgage Plot already complete. At this point you're ready for the second winter. And if you followed along with this guide, there's really nothing to worry about for the coming winter period. Your people should have plenty of food and lots of firewood. If need be, you can always set 2 families working in your woodcutter's lodge at once for extra firewood, but it wouldn't be necessary. You don't need to take any special precautions during winter. Your people can take care of themselves as long as they have food, fuel, clothes and a little bit of religion to help them get through those long nights. And that's all just about it for the first 2 years of Manor Lords sorted. Congratulations on surviving and thriving. I'll leave you with a few key objectives to think about for your 3rd year of Manor Lords playthrough. I'll let you figure out the details of these year 3 objectives for yourself, but you should be on a firm footing after such a successful first year. And hopefully you found this beginner's guide very useful, so don't forget to like and subscribe, and good luck Manor Lording.